I was sort of handcuffed by it because I thought I was that, which what had defeated me. And therefore, I was trying to be free as it instead of from it. Sounds like a simple, just not much of a difference, AS and FROM, but it's usually different. When you're trying to be free as the problem, that's a problem. When there's a freedom, it's going to be from the problem. Yeah, yeah. So we have this meeting every week, twice a week. Um, I don't see a lot of value in missing this point. Yeah, so we sort of stay on this point. I feel if you don't see it, you're going to be looking from it, and looking from it is turns into extreme self-centeredness. Yeah, and that usually is going to lead to some kind of relief or attempt to get relief, and inevitably it may end up being a drug or or a drink. And there, genie's left out of, gets out of the bottle, and there you go. I've seen a lot of people who are alcoholic who strenuously practice Buddhism, and they found themselves as a drunk Buddhist. Yes. So for some reason, I feel uh, if you're here, there's a point to being here. So this is a unique answer to what may be the real trouble in you. And there's a lot of room for add-ons. Yeah, but first things first. So uh, yeah. So it's obviously we don't have a reading today. So let's just go to page 64. So I think it's the third paragraph. You are actually, they're describing something that happens while you're in the act of doing the inventory. Yeah. Not just going over, not thinking about it, but in the act of doing the inventory. It says here, the third paragraph. First, they describe obviously the inventory more like a business inventory because part of how we are defeated is the extreme personalness. We take everything. Yeah. So they look at it. Let's just look at your situation as a business and see what's saleable and unsaleable. Be able to tell the truth about it. And we're going to look at the flaws in our makeup. Now, the flaws, FLAWS, in our makeup may not be our flaws. They may be an appearance of a foreign nature. Yes, this is how I see it. And I believe, knowing it or not, how they describe it, they were seeing it. Yeah. So it's very simple. We did exactly the same thing with our lives, talking about doing it as a sort of a business and saleable and unsaleable goods. We took stock honestly. First, we searched out the flaws in our makeup. Now, most people, when they're affected or they notice the flaw in their makeup, they think it's their flaw. Yes, obviously. I'm self-centered, I'm selfish, I'm fearful, I'm this, I'm that. What we're saying here, we're not saying there's no fear or self-centeredness. We're saying it's not you, so to speak. Yes, that's all. And so we're going to do an inventory on the flaws in our makeup and find out the true nature of what has defeated us is foreign to us, and we give it the name self. Yeah, so just follow it. It's not very cryptic. It says here, we did exactly the same thing with our lives. We took stock honestly. First, we searched out the flaws in our makeup, which caused our failure. So as we're doing that, it's saying here, being convinced that self, yeah. So as you're doing the inventory, there could be a state or a process that's happening that you are being convinced that self manifested in various ways was what had defeated you or defeated us. Yeah, that's it. The recognition of the nature of our defeat is foreign to us. Yeah. In the same sentence, they describe or they pinpoint the defeater, which is self, and then they pinpoint the defeated, which is us. Yeah. So self manifesting in various ways. These are the flaws in our makeup. There are self's manifestations if you follow this logic. Yes. So the flaws that we find in our makeup are manifestations of self in our life. What? Yes. And those manifestations is how self defeats us. Yeah. Because we're taking self's manifestations in our lives as our manifestations in our lives. It's very obvious. When you do an inventory, you're doing an inventory on your resentments. There's a claiming of the resentments that are manufactured by self in your life as yours. That's the bondage of self. Yeah. You're so bound to it, you can't entertain being free from it. You can only entertain being free as it. Yeah. So we fall into that statement of self can't get out of self. But one part of us that is self is called Paul, and Paul believes it can get out of self by shooting coke. Paul believes it can get out of self by avoiding all conflict and any amends. Paul believes it can get out of self by a lot of mechanisms, but it can't. It gets caught in the inevitable statement in recovery, our community, which is self cannot get out of self. Yeah. We hear it, but the problem is how we hear it. We hear it as a Paul that completely believes it can get out of self. Unbeknownst to us, the Paul that we think we are is a form of self manufactured by the disease in us. Yeah. What's the original addiction? It's the mental addiction to the idea of being the doer, the thinker, the feeler, the haver, the winner, the loser, all all held by a singularity of this thing we call our body. Yeah. You hear a voice, you think it's your voice because it has the sounds of a vocal cords of this body that you think is yours. You listen to the sounds of this body because you think they're yours. You don't listen to the sounds of other bodies because you don't think they're yours. Yeah. So it's very difficult to receive wisdom because you're listening to something that you think you're getting all your wisdom from because it sounds like what you think you are. This is Paul's voice. It's not Paul's voice. It's the voice of a vocal cord in a human form, a body. Yeah. But this whole idea of ownership is killing us, truly killing us. So when I saw this by the grace of this higher power, this program, through the program, it told me, don't move from this point. If you don't see this, you're looking from it. If you don't see that self is foreign to you, you're looking from self. And you're seeing life through self's view and self's eyes. Yeah. And basically, all your reactions are tailor-made by this idea of self. Yeah, so you're reacting, you're not responding, you're reacting to what's going on by how you see what's going on. And you're seeing it very darkly. You're looking down a tunnel called self-centeredness, which is you see everything as how it pertains to you. It's insane, literally insane. You can't get out of it as it, but you can realize you're not in it. Hallelujah. Yeah. This is the whole point we try to emphasize because there is super clarity about a lot of stuff in recovery. Some people can tell you how many commas are used in the big book. They can tell you everything that's italicized that you should entertain, but they miss this unbelievably, and so on and so forth. We're not here to take their place or anything like that. I don't really have that much concern about it. Yeah, it's all been covered. Yes, all been covered. Da 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 da. Da. But what's the exact nature of the wrong? What are the underlying causes and conditions? Has that been clearly presented? No, it hasn't. Yeah. I would say the most stated word in the book is probably self. And it's, in a sense, the least understood. You think it's an ego or something. But what's the feeling of having an ego and losing an ego? What is that? That has a sense it's having an ego or losing it, or it can lose an ego. That's the sense of self. The sense of self of ownership. Yeah. When have you seen a problem as not yours? When? When have you done? When has that occurred? You see the problem, and then it's immediately presented as yours. And if it's presented as someone else's, fuck them, really, in a lot of ways. Yeah. You want someone to listen to you for about 4 hours about your problems. You don't want to hear someone's talking about theirs for like 30 seconds. There's like an incredible cherishing of everything that's about us with very little concern about others, literally. Yeah. And then we say we're sensitive. No, most of that's just self-centeredness. You're sensitive, but you're not sensitive to others' feelings. You're very touchy, but you're not touchy about others, are you? Really? Yeah. I mean, there's an ongoing condition unbeknownst to us that's overriding the possibilities that the program brings into view. Yeah. We can actually be free from the bondage of self. It says it. The problem will not exist for you anymore. What? Yes. How is this ever going to happen? How am I ever going to do it? You're not. You're going to be placed in a position of neutrality with no thought or effort on your part. What? Placed doesn't mean you drove there. You were placed in a position of neutrality with no thought or effort on your part. Yeah. What are you but thought and effort? The you you're taking yourself to be. Well, that you has absolutely nothing to do with the freedom from the bondage of self. It doesn't happen through thought and effort. You're placed in a position of neutrality. Yeah. And now that which used to dominate you doesn't dominate you. Yeah. You realize something can do for you what you can't do for yourself, and you sign up. Yeah. Let me sign up and make that decision of the third step. Yeah. Because no human power, and I mean it, that has been expressed deeply in this life, that no human power, including this, could bring about a recovery from alcoholism. None. My mother loved me, the church that prayed for me, the state wanted me to stop, I wanted to stop. People who hated me wanted me to stop. People who loved me wanted me to stop. Nothing fucking could do it, and yet something did. Yes? That's something to me is the essence of the higher power. Yeah. So you sign up, you start practicing. Alcohol, in a way, gets forgotten, and you start looking at the underlying causes and conditions. Yeah. The alcohol now you see is just a symptom of the underlying causes and conditions. Usually, when they're described, they have self hyphen something like self pity, self this, self that, ba ba ba. So you have really been used for something other than you to live through. Yes? Most of the flaws that you believe are yours are not engendered or manifested or made by you. They're made through you by this idea of self. It's foreign to us. Yeah. You can be free from it. You can have a long string of days where the problem doesn't exist for you anymore because it doesn't exist as you now. It never did, it never will. I think this is profound recognition that needs to get formalized and standardized in our program. And we're doing the best we can for that to happen. Yeah. Yeah. So there is going to be these meetings on YouTube where we pass away or anyone. And then if someone's curious and wondering what's going on, maybe they'll find a key to it all at these talks. Yes. So we're all going to be used to be of service. Yeah. We're all being used as an expression of a power greater than us. Yes. And here we go. So someone who's looking for something and it doesn't find it will find it maybe here. That's all. Yeah. And maybe it'll bring about a great relief from the bondage of self. Hallelujah. Yeah. And then the people they touch, they'll touch much the people with a lighter touch and so forth. Yeah. And I'd like that to get contagious. Yeah. Yeah. So here we are. Uh, it's very clear. First, we searched out the flaws in our makeup, which caused our failure. Being convinced that self is what caused our failure. Yeah. Manifested, these are the flaws, manifested in various ways, had defeated us. Us is, we are in the us camp. Yeah. There's been one, let's call it one thing that defeated all of us. Yeah. And it's so incredible that even the defeats look very similar. Yeah. They really do. When you look at a trajectory of an alcoholic and an addict, no matter how uniquely they think they are, it looks pretty standardized. Yes. You can see it. It's maybe the locations may be different and the amounts may be different, but it's the same trajectory because it's the same thing uh, bringing us to the rocks, all of us. Yeah. And I truly believe the original addiction is the head's addiction to this idea of self. Yeah. And all the other attempts to get out of it that are now called addictions, like overeating and drinking and drug use and workaholism, were all attempts to try to get out of the original one, which is self. Yeah, the addiction to this idea of self. Now, the addiction to the idea of self travels in all of those other addictions. Yeah. You believe you're the one that's doing the coke, you're the one that's eating the cake, you're the one that's doing this, you're the ones that doing that. And it's very difficult, even though you hear it in these books that you are driven, you really believe you're doing it. Yeah. And then you feel even worse. Then you feel super guilty because you know you shouldn't do it, but you keep doing it. Yeah. And then it's like a cocoon you get caught in a cocoon of the head. It allows you to see through it, but you don't see the cocoon. Yeah. And then you really get strangled by a terminal uniqueness, literally. Yeah. First, you don't think anyone around you is like you. They don't think like you. They don't feel like you. They don't. And then it gets presented as a larger group. Yes. And then you'll end up you'll end up being alone and right. You'll be a right about all your grievances and you'll be alone. Yeah. But you won't be alone. The parasite will have you. Yes. Yes. I feel this is spiritless servility. Yeah. Spiritless servility. Uh, And spiritless servility inevitably goes to that incomprehensible, pitiful demoralization. Yes. That's the weight you're walking around in the spiritless servility with. Yes. A huge weight of incomprehensible, pitiful demoralization, walking around in a spiritless servility. Jeez, Christ. Yeah. If you want to get the monkey off your back, you got to see you're not the monkey. You do. If you don't see you're not the monkey, the monkey will say it got off your back, but it's still on your back. So it goes say here, manifested in various ways was what had defeated us. We considered its common manifestations. And now there's a very little bit of white until it goes to the print again, and it says resentment is the number one offender. So in this logic, resentment is a manifestation of self in our life that we call a flaw in our mental makeup. Yeah. But what actually placed that flaw in our makeup was not you or I. It's this foreignness of the parasite of selfing, so to speak. Yes. And that's what we're going to look at when we do an inventory. But how many people come into an inventory in AA with my resentment and leave with resentment? They usually leave with my resentment still. So the way a very important working step, the problem slips right through with it. Yeah. You came in, you were finally reeling, you finally get introduced to resentment, and it's of course yours, and fear, yours, harms done to others, what? Yours. Yeah. And then you do an inventory, and now you know your resentments, your fears, and your harms done to others. Yeah. So you come in and you go out, and the my is there still. And then you measure your resentments towards someone else's resentments, and your this with their this, and da 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 da. Yes. So it's insane. Yet the book says it very clearly. I grew up in English, even though I'm with a thick accent in New York, but I grew up with the English language. I did. This is the way I comprehended stuff. And you can't tell me self and us means the same fucking thing. When it says self, it's saying that to us. Yeah. It's this statement, being convinced that self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us, is not the message, isn't to self, it's to us. Yeah. It's trying to get around the idea of self and speak to us and say, you're fucked, bro. Yeah. Yeah. Basically, that which is fucking you knows you're fucked. Your head knows you're fucked. It does. It does. It keeps you in the dark. It's very clear. It's fucked. Yeah. It is. I want to get some clarity, bro. It's obvious. You're the last one to fucking figure it out. This is the parasite. It's like the parasite, like the octopus that puts out the purple ink. Yeah. The parasite puts out an ink. And isn't it weird that in an incredibly heavy duty, getting thrashed by type of disease, the person who has it is the last one to fucking know? That's insane, isn't it? Like someone who is an alcoholic, you meet someone you know they are in like 2 minutes. The person themselves may never get it for the next 40 years. Yeah. You see it in 3 minutes. You're like, wow, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then you realize, why do I want to go down all those roads, this and that? There's a giant cloud overshadowing the person, and you've lived under that cloud. Yeah. And why is it we're the last ones to know? Something must be preventing that knowledge to getting to us. Yes. Oh, there can't be anything living in me. It's just me. Me. Jesus Christ. So much shit goes in and out of you all day. Yeah. Just constantly. You're being moved and driven, let's say by lust, calling it love, righteous judgment coming out of a grievance. It's unbelievable. Yes? Yeah. We're driven. It's very clearly delineated in the book. We're driven by 100 forms of shit. Yeah. We are the driven. We are not the driver. Yeah. Thank God, because if it was the driven, it would be hopeless because we are the driven. But it's the driver. So there's hope. Yes. Because we can have another driver. If it was the driven that did it, then the driven would be in a hopeless state. But it's not. The driven was driven to a hopeless state by the driver. If you can tell the truth about the driven and the driver, the opportunity, the possibility there could be a different driver. Yeah. You're going to be a Ford or a Chevy or a Chrysler. That's the way it goes. Yeah. You're not going to turn into a Rolls Royce probably, but you can have a different driver. Yeah. And this is what AA offers. It says perhaps there's a better way. Instead of being driven by a finite self, you'll be driven by an infinite power. Yeah. You sign up for it and you see the demonstration that it works. And there you go. And then it's done. You're in the habit of being sober. 37 years goes on, 45 years, 45 hours, 12 months, whatever. The same principles moving you. Yeah. And now you're in the habit of it moving you. So you're just moved by it for the rest of your life. Yeah. Instead of going back and forth, like with the idea of a transactional third step, you surrender. But when something important occurs, like I want to meet a 5'10" blonde, you take that job back and then it blows up and then you try to surrender again. That shit goes on. But after a while, you're in a habit of being sober. You're now surrendered to the fact of your inability to control any drinking and using, and that you're not managerial quality. Yep, very clear. And then you're just driven and moved. You're used. Yeah. And then sometimes you need to make amends. It's nice when they're very infrequent. Yeah, it is. They stand out really. When you're in a river of avoiding amends, it's sort of like my strategy was to make new shit so I wouldn't have to have any time to look at the old shit. It was just making new shit all day so I wouldn't have to deal with the old shit. Now it sticks out like a thumb. I say, oh yeah, I need to call that person and make an amends. Yeah. Yeah. A character flaw appeared. Is it mine? Do I have to cover up for it? No. Yes, it's easily admitted because it's not you. Yes. Yeah. You try to do the best you can. There you go. But now you have the ability to enjoy peace of mind. You know the word serenity and understand peace or whatever it says. You'll be in a new freedom and a new happiness, a new attitude and a new outlook. Yeah. You'll be reborn, like they say. Yeah, yeah. And that birth isn't going to be covered and narrated and observed through thought. Yeah. Thought now gets replaced in from the throne. Yeah. And you're driven by something other than thought. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So here we are, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I do not believe the exact nature of the wrong changes. I believe it stays foreign to us. No matter how long you've been calling it you, it doesn't become you. You live as if it is you, but it never will become you. Yeah? So there you go. Anyone has anything they to share or anything? I would stay on this. I ate a bologna sandwich for like 5 years straight every day when I went to school. My mother gave me bologna sandwiches. I can live every day with the same message. It always tastes new every time. Yeah. Yeah. I do not want, I want to have people have another way of seeing it instead of ending up with, I hate myself. Yes. Or I am my own worst enemy. That's got to stop. Yeah. When that is starting to reveal itself, it's got to be stopped. You can't allow this shit to go on. Yes, there is something that may seem to hate you. It's its own nature, really, but you may take it as hate, but it's not you. Can you imagine what waking up and starting your day on that premise that you hate yourself? Jesus. Yeah. Now, mistakenly, it would look like that. All the shit that seemed to have happened while you seem to be at the controls, a mental logic would come to that conclusion that you hate yourself. But with this recognition, that you that hates you ain't you. That's the good fucking news. Yeah. Yeah. So a resentment and my resentment are very different. Fear is usually really mental anxiety. Yeah. Do you live a life of fear all day? No, you're not a fucking lion tamer or a tiger wrestler. Yeah. You're really at the effect of mental anxiety. There's so much faith in the thought system. The thought system can override our apparent nowness with a fear of yesterday and tomorrow. It's just mind-boggling. Yeah. What is that but the power of faith put into the wrong vehicle, really? We've had an incredible amount of faith in self, and look at what has happened. Yeah. Oh, mm. This is a strange thing. No one wants to share. This is a strange event. This is a subjective experience. In other words, you and I give everything all the meaning it has because, in fact, things don't really have meaning. Yeah. We give them the meaning. Now, if the we that's giving them the meaning has been commandeered by self, you're actually living an interpretation of life from the view of self. Yeah. Bitching about your personal freedom and shit. You're bound in your own personal freedom. You really are. You're so into your personal freedom, there's a bondage right there. Yes. It says it. Let me go to page 53 in We Agnostics. Now, this is really, I've never heard a book study really emphasize this part. Never. In the years I have been going to book studies. I don't think I ever heard it as the topic. So here, bottom of page 53, uh, without knowing it, had we not been brought to where we stood by a certain kind of faith. Yeah. So you're brought to where you stand by a certain kind of faith. In this case, without knowing it. Yeah? So faith has brought us to where we stand right now without us knowing it. Wow. Yeah. For did we not believe in our own reasoning? Yeah. Faith in the thoughts, obviously. And he asked, both of these are followed with a question mark. So yet you sit with it for a second. Yeah. So the one presentation is, without knowing it, had we not been brought to where we stood by a certain kind of faith, for did we not believe in our own reasoning? Did we not have confidence in our ability to think? What was that but a sort of faith? Wow. We had been faithful, abjectly faithful, and abjectly means one of the definitions is spiritless servility. So not only faithful, the faith in what we're having faith in produces a spiritless servility. That's the condition that we live in. Yes? Spiritless servility. But there's all the doors in my house are unlocked. Yes, but you're living in there that free, open house in a spiritless fucking servility. Yeah. Yes, we had been faithful, abjectly faithful to the God of reason. Or this, they call it again, we got to quit playing God. It's the same fucking thing. We're not playing God. We're listening to something that's playing God. With great devotion, we're listening to something that's playing God. Yeah. We are not playing God. We are that which is being played by that which is playing God. We are being played by that which is playing God. In that statement, when in going into the third step, it says, you got to quit playing God. Didn't you try to stop playing God when you read that? Yes. And did you fail? Yes. Why? Because you're not that which is playing God. Something other than you is playing God. And how you quit it, how it looks when you quit it, is there's a loss of interest in listening to that which is playing God. Yeah. That's what quitting playing God means to me as an experiential evolution. I realized that which was playing God and is playing God is not me. And I lost interest in listening to it. Then my ear was available to hear the higher power that doesn't fucking speak ad nauseum. It sort of directs, yes? It's ahas, it's an intuition, it's a different communication than the head, repeating over and over again, you're fucked, you're gonna be fucked, they're the ones that fucked you, blah, blah, blah. Yeah? So, yes, we had been faithful, abjectly faithful to the God of reason. So, in one way or another, meaning always, yeah, we discovered that faith had been involved all the time. Perhaps there's a better way. Let's exchange the word faith with trust. So, the one way that we've lived under is trusting the finite self, and it's turned into abject faith, a spiritless civility, and now we're in the process or in the life of trusting the infinite. That's it. Yeah. Which is it? We're not two levels below a coconut as the driven. We can sense the driver. We can sense it after a while. Yeah. We know when we know when there's one driver or the other driver driving us. You get a sense of it after a while. Yes? You recognize the one and you rejoice having it replaced by the other. Yeah? And there's no contract. It's a daily contract. As long as you let it, it'll keep driving. Yes? It's a daily contract. It can go on forever until you pass away. Doesn't end every 7 years and you have to re-up or resubscribe. You subscribe, knowing it or not, in the third step. You made a decision to turn your will and life or the car over to this driver. That's what we've done. Yeah? I don't give a shit. The driven can't turn. The driver is what turns the wheel. The wheel is there. The driven cannot turn. There is no self-driving car other than us in this life. Yeah. It's a pipe dream in Tesla world. There's no self-driving car except us. We are the self-driving car. Self is driving us. Yeah. We're the perfect example of where you're going to end up if the car that you are is driven by self. Yeah. We're like the canary in the coal mine. We're an extreme version of self-will run wild. Yeah. Addictions, people who have crossed the line. We are books other people should read, like a scripture, because it's telling them exactly about the exact nature of the wrong that's in them. Yeah. Because it was so pronounced in us, it's hard to not see it. So here, our life is a gift to the blind, truly. Yeah. Of course, they compartmentalized AA as only for alcoholics or addicts. which gives a huge amount of space for the selfing to go crazy. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what we have to share. Yeah. You know, my sponsor, when we went over the inventory process and we went to step 8, he gave me a lot of great advice. Let's make a column. What are the amends you're willing to do today? What are the amends that you feel a little bit difficult? And what are the amends that you never want to do? And let's just start with the first column. Yeah, that was very helpful. Yeah, there's a lot of help along the way in this process, but I think all of that has been noticed and pronounced. Yes, they've been cemented almost, the suggestions of our program over the years. Yeah, but what about a clarity of the exact nature of the wrong? That hasn't been cemented, though I feel it was laid out on page 64 perfectly. Yeah, I feel it humbly, in where I sit, I see a huge value in this, because if you don't see this, the suggestions are going to be applied to self, yes, as a self. And I believe when recovery doesn't seem like it's much, it's because it's choked by the self. Yes, really. There is a solution, but it's held by the problem. Haven't you noticed the difference of solution from the beginning of the book, and then when they're describing like page 84, you'll be placed in a position of neutrality. The problem will not exist for you anymore. I mean, that's unbelievable. Yes? So the more and more you stay under the influence of this, the purer the solution gets, really. Yeah. You have an idea of a higher power. You quickly realize, I don't want to have an idea of a higher power. I want the higher power to have an idea of itself and tell me about it instead of me defining what it's going to be. I mean, it's obvious. Why would I want to have a higher power of my own understanding? My understanding is fucked. Yeah. I want to have a higher power of its own understanding. That was done in a couple of months in the program. Yeah. Just galvanized, never changed. Yes. uh, the idea of the higher power, always available at all times, right where you are, with no requirement necessary to meet it. Bammo. Never changed since then. Yeah. Yeah. Came in, tons of misunderstandings. A lot of them got corrected quickly. Yeah. And off I went, stayed on the operating table, did not get up, did not play doctor. And there you go. Yes. Here we are, sharing the joy of it. Another day sober.
Well, we have a question from Eileen.
Yes.
Hi, it's not a question. I was just trying to connect something. When you were saying about, and it says it in the big book, the delusions, from the Al-Anon point of view. Well, first, when I was working in mental health and in the beginning, they said to me, don't, if someone's really psychotic, you don't challenge their delusions. And so we as the alcoholic are delusional. And so it seems like from the Al-Anon point of view, that's what, before recovery, the Al-Anon is trying to challenge the delusions of the alcoholic, and it never works. So that's eventually how they get to Al-Anon, and then learn you don't challenge, you detach, you go the other way. I was just putting that, I never thought of it in that framework before. I don't know if you would agree with that, but I saw it that way. And then my other connection was that bondage to self seems connected to that freedom that I want when I assert myself. You say to me, don't date that guy, like he's dangerous. I'm trying to find where he is so he can ask me out, that kind of thing. That's all that. So I think I'm asserting You say, don't go there, that town, I want to go there. Don't eat lobster, that's my next meal. That's all the bondage of self, right? But I think I'm asserting my freedom.
Well, I would, if you are, I would just bring it to step 6 and 7 and see what gets returned.
I'm not doing that now. I'm just talking about when I'm in my, like when,
Oh, yeah, but
yeah,
just if let's say that comes up, that to me is like triggers the idea of 6 and 7. Yes. Yeah, when it has an idea, well, I want to have the lobster. And in the past you would, maybe you're not now, but no matter what, I would still bring it to 6 and 7. Yeah. Yeah. And the Al-Anon obviously had to learn what they were dealing with, and that's how they learned it. Now, I'm not familiar with Al-Anon as a in a personal thing, except probably being the topic of a lot of meetings. Yeah, because being the alcoholic, I'm sure I was talked about many, many times. So, yeah, this is what happens. You start out thinking maybe you know how it's going to work, but then you find out how it works. Yeah. And it's usually not the way you thought. Yeah. So, um, my case, when I meet people, it's a moment to moment affair. I don't really have a rote reaction to people. Yeah. Some people I feel it's better to let them have their own bottom. It would be a disservice if, yeah. And then other people I'm willing to drive and pick them up and take them somewhere. Yes. It's just I don't have it's just something you feel it out, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah. We're just speaking about a fundamental condition with really AA in its true advice gets to it's either this or that. Yeah. The better way is only presented as two ways: trusting finite self or trusting the infinite. It's very clear cut. Yeah. Yeah. Now, I believe because the head that is that which we're listening to is in the act of being identified as self. The head is in that act all day. Yeah. That how can we get some distance between the head as being us, yeah, and us? Because the head ain't going to change. It's in the act of being identified as self. It is the system. Like in another book, they talk about the brain interprets to the body of which it is a part. Yeah. So basically, whatever collates the evidence of life that we pick up as this event, it's being collated with a bias already, which is you're a body. Yes. Yeah. So this body is constantly being presented as you. And then if the true nature of us is spirit, when, as heard by a body, it's a body that's trying to become spiritual. Now, many people realize that doesn't work. Yes, because the body's idea of spirit are defined by the body identity. So you think, your hair will get straighter and you'll have blue eyes and you'll speak with a monotone and you'll have a loving gaze and you'll walk slower and shit like that. Yeah. But in fact, it's just a lot of misunderstanding. But if your nature is really of spirit, yeah, then if the if your spiritual condition is what allows you to be free from this bondage, yeah, then I would think realizing you're a spiritual condition would be the highest form of maintenance of a spiritual condition, which would be being aware of being a spiritual condition. I would think that's the highest form of maintenance. Now, you can see where the body goes with its forms of maintenance. And after a while, you see the absurdity of it all. Yes? It always ends up into you sacrifice and martyrdom and shit. Well, I don't believe that's the case. I believe the spirit is our nature. Yes? Yes. Yeah. And so our conditions, what changes are the mental and physical and external conditions. I don't believe the spirit changes ever. Yeah, it just is. And to me, that aspect of his nature right there is reliable. Yeah, because it's always available at all times. Is the body? No. Is the head? No. Are the circumstances? No. Are the stores open 24/7? Every store? No. Yeah. But I humbly believe our nature is not of the head or the body, tell you the truth. Yeah. And I think the head is infected with alcoholism. That's what it says in our book. The problem resides in the mind. I think that's true. And the problem is a foreign activity, really, through our mental state. And then it gets blown up. And as it says, any life run on self-will hardly be a success. Yeah. So if self is playing the role of God and is directing your will, it says very clearly in our book, any life run on self-will is hardly going to be a success. Yes? That's as clear as day. So there's going to be will, but what's pushing the will? Is it self or the higher power? That's the option here. So, uh, hmm. It happened to me when I was about 7 years sober, 6 or 7. I was reading page 64 and how it works. And for once in my life, I had a strong sense of otherness when I read the word self. Yeah, it was a gift that was given. But everything since then has been based on that recognition. That self was foreign to me and is foreign to me. And therefore, uh, the fourth column of the inventory became very illuminating because when I look at my role in things, I see self's role in things. Yeah. And now my role in things has become lesser and lesser, and self's role in things became more and more. Yeah. Literally. And uh, the first example I had it of was I had a sense that this was a disease, and when I had got caught in a men's without I had no plan on running into the person. I didn't even remember who it was, and then they pronounced in front of me and a couple of people that I owed them $500 and shit. And so you would think I would have felt a lot of guilt and wanting to avoid, but I didn't. And the first thing I said to the lady was, I would have done what I did to you to anyone unless you could stop me, physically stop me. And I paid her in a few weeks the money, but I didn't have any recoiling and feeling shame because I knew I had been taken over. It was vaguely occurring, the knowledge. It wasn't crystallized yet, but I was getting a sense of relief from the bondage of self by recognizing it was a disease or something that took me over. And then that just got stronger and stronger to the point where it crystallized with a recognition that self is something foreign to us. Yes. Yeah. And then maybe I wanted to go become a great explorer, but whatever was running through me just told me, you got to stay at this point. If you don't see this, you're going to be looking from it. If you don't see self as foreign to you, you're going to be looking for self from self. And all your knowledge is going to be self-knowledge. It's not going to avail you much. Yet knowledge of self is incredibly valuable. So, yeah, that's basically, that's like a dry run of what seemed to happen. It wasn't all at once. It was relief, first from the idea that I was sick, yeah, not morally ill or inherently evil, but sick, brought about some relief, and that relief led to more relief until it ended with a being convinced that that which has defeated us, in this case, me, is foreign to me. And then a possibility that was hidden or restrained became apparent, which is I can be free from it. if it ain't me, I can actually be free from it. And that was the gift. I had the living gift of that on page 84, that the problem will not exist for you anymore. And I believe how that's going to stabilize is recognizing the problem does not exist as you. Yes? Yes. There's a huge difference between from and as. So, yeah. And here I am. I just got it. This became my clarion call in recovery for 37 years, really. I think it's the most efficient way to produce the greatest amount of traveling lighter. I do. Yeah. I don't have to sit with you and let's write everything down. We're just talking about, where does your game start? Where does the race start in you? Do you start at a mental manufactured point, or do you have a sense of the before or of the spirit? Yeah. The race is going to look completely different by where you start. It is. Yeah. And I thought that the only starting point was Paul, but there's a starting point before Paul. Yeah. And now I see what I used to look from. I used to look from Paul. Now I see Paul looking from Paul. Yeah, I see it. It's an experience. It's a recognition, a perception. So, and there where I find myself, I don't believe there's anything else before that. I just don't. Yeah. I just, I mean, I've been leaning on that cliff. I never fell. It's just been a leaning over the cliff for 30 something years now. I figure this is the before that has no before. Yeah. But Paul definitely came after. It is of the after. You are made up by the head. You are. You're made up by the head, you're maintained by the head, you're manufactured by the head, you're reinforced by the head. Yeah. You're remembered as you're worrying about you in the future. All of that is to make up this idea of you. Yeah. Mm. To me, it's doesn't produce an ease and comfort. It just reinforces agitation, irritability, and discontentment. Yes. And that gnawing of discontentment it's almost the marks of the parasite's teeth, yeah, on you. A gnawing of discontentment. It eats at you, and you fill that hole up, and it demands more. Yes. Yeah. When they take a scan of a teeth, somebody bit something. What bit this person? And this is sort of what you would see, I feel. Yeah. The discontentment. Buddhism, they call it dukkha, like a vague malaise. Yeah. And it produces desire, or it's actually it comes out of desire. And what does the head do all day? It desires to become and unbecome all day. Yeah. If you follow Buddhism, it says this suffering is caused by desire. And what causes the desire but the head? Yeah. Yeah. The head is its nature, or its expression is agitation. Yeah. And it's in an addictive condition. It's it's the idea it has of you is it's addicted to. Yeah. And that addiction can get so much that you seek relief from it, and they turn into other addictions. Yeah. When I drank, alcohol was my first solution to alcoholism. It was. I felt relief from this overbearing self-centeredness. Unfortunately, society didn't see it that way. Yeah. And then I got into a lot of conflict. But it brought me to a point where I was willing to pay any consequence tomorrow not to feel this dis-ease now. Yeah. And I did. I paid a lot of consequences. Nothing taught me to stop, or I had no ability to stop. They could contain me in a program or jail or in the hospital, but inevitably, once I got out of the condition, I would be back doing what I did. Yeah. Seemed hopeless. Really did. Thank God it's a seemingly hopeless state of mind or body. It's only appearing to be true to you. Yeah. And remember, hell is subjective. So is heaven, really. Yeah. There is no place called hell or heaven. It happens in one's head. Yeah. And I've been to a lot of hellish realms without leaving my couch many times. Yeah. And I know who drove me there. I'm very, very aware of the driver. I am. I know, I know. All the neighborhoods I was dropped off in, I remember what drove me there after a while. I'm very sure. Convinced, way past the point of convinced. Yeah. So, what do they say? Something that can be a good servant ends up a terrible master. Yeah. So the head has a lot of value in this world. Thinking has a lot of value, especially if it's critical and stuff. Yeah, we've lost a lot of critical thinking, all this stuff. But as a master, it sort of sucks. Yeah. So, but it has a tendency to play God. And in us, as our predilections, where it leans that way, it starts playing God on us. Yeah. And there's no way to reason with it. Just yeah, you just need relief from it. And I believe why you keep listening to it is because it presents itself as you. If you can see it as something else, you'll probably lose interest in a lot of what it says because it's fucking boring and it just does the same old, really. Yes? It doesn't have an infinite amount of tricks. It's got maybe four or five. It's played when it's played them on you so many times, you finally become conscious of what's going on. And now you're in a better camp. You're relying on a higher power, really. When you have it as your GPS, you're really fucked, obviously. When the head is your GPS, you're going to probably be compelled to act on its direction. And when you are, it creates a flypaper world of consequences, yes, which you want to avoid or do whatever. And once you get stuck on the flypaper, any movement actually sticks you more. So you don't want this thing to get out, so to speak, and 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 produce an action in your life because it can really become like a tattoo that you can't wash off. Like some people, I remember I spoke at San Quentin at this big event there, and they had three prisoners that talked before you. Yeah. And each one were in there by vehicular manslaughter. They had killed someone while they were drinking, driving. Yes. So that was an incredible illustration of that you are the driven. Yeah. So all of them, they thought there were maybe three different makes of a car, Jim, Bill, and Tim, whatever, come from different things, but they had the same driver. Yeah. And I knew that driver was driving me, and I could end up where they ended up. Yes. Yes. Not because they're an Oldsmobile or a Ford, but because what's driving them. Yeah. You got to recognize the driver. If you keep calling one of them you, uh, yeah. Hmm. So the GPS, that's the first thing that really gets removed. Yes. You start listening to the suggestions of AA instead of the head. You go to your commitments instead of the head saying, fuck that, I don't want to go there. It's Thursday night, I want to do something else. And you override it. And then the GPS is its main drive in there. Because if it can't compel you to act, it really neuters its ability to affect things, yes? Yeah, it's important because I, I mean, maybe you want to say you hate your girlfriend, but you don't. But the one night you say it, you may forget that next day, but she doesn't. Yeah. And therefore, that little move of acting has now created ripples that may go on for quite a while. Yeah. And in our case, there are different types. I am a consequential type of alcoholic. Shit hits the fan. I mean, I go to jail and go to hospitals and shit. And I meet people of that category, and that they need to do something because the consequences are going to get probably worse and bigger. Like for me, I was completely surprised getting run over by a car. I was making little things so huge, and I was just completely humbled by getting run over by a car. I mean, I grew up overnight, really. I was a little baby, and then I was playing with fire all the fucking time. And this one time I stepped out, I got run over by a car. Yes. The same driver brought me there. Same driver. So, like they say, every time you got in trouble, no, every time you drink, you may not get in trouble, but every time you got in trouble, you were drinking. Yes. And that was true in this case. So, yeah. So when you're one of the consequentials, you gotta fucking stop, or you're really gonna be fucked. Or you're gonna have a long period of living in institutions because that's the only way you won't get fucked on a bigger scale. Yeah. You'll be in a controlled environment, but then you're in there now for years. Yeah, going from one institution to another. And some people I know, my nephew, he called me up and he was back at the first rehab he ever was in 25 years ago. He was back in that same rehab in Long Island. 25 years going around the same drain, ending up in the same place. Yeah. So it's running the GPS really lends a lot of consequences to occur. Yes. Yes. That's why we turn our will and life over to the care of a higher power. That's a decision because that's the GPS, literally. Yeah. I'm going to turn it over to some other GPS, really. And what do I do to allow that to happen? And hopefully you've been beat into a condition of malleability and you'll fucking listen to suggestions. And then the change will occur. The drivers will shift. Yeah. A new driver will take over. The old driver will keep acting like it's getting in, but now it can only get to the passenger side of the front seat. It'll yap, but it can't turn the car. Yeah. Its destination ain't your destination. It really fucks it with it when it loses the GPS role. Yeah. This can happen just by following the suggestions when you're completely out to lunch, just by acting differently. You'll cut off one of its main uh, subsidiaries is the GPS. Yeah. Yeah. It'll keep you out of jail, keep you out of a lot of shit. It really will. So, and that has value. If you keep going to jail, not going to jail is very fucking valuable. Really is. You have a lot of gratitude that you're not in jail. It's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. Thank you. I don't know.
We got
Let's,
a question from Lian as well.
all right. Let's bring them in. Whoever.
Sorry, yes, hi there.
Miss
Hi,
Volkman.
Paul. Yes, Miss Volkmann. What is left of it? Yes. I just wanted to ask something. I know you have also drunk ayahuasca once, yeah? Ayahuasca.
I didn't do ayahuasca.
I know you didn't. I thought you had.
No,
Okay.
no, I went to the ceremony to check it
Ah,
when I was in 2000. when I was in Australia. But that which I listened to told me it's not for me.
Okay, okay, I understand, yeah. Because I was recently in one, I was already before, and what I noticed with the ceremonies, it gets harder and harder. And sometimes I explain, you know, also by being with you all the time, that it comes maybe more and more to the root of the ego, right? And so I go there and then I have this, well, it's not an experience anymore. It's literally, you are the peace, yeah? So I'm fully this peace, and there's no really body awareness anymore. But at some stage, you're being pushed out again, like back into the body, yeah? So there's body awareness again. And then the body is really, really aching, but so aching that it's almost like, yeah, a car just breaking down, yeah? It's like everything is aching, everything, the muscles, everything. Horrible aches. And that was the worst time now on this weekend. And I actually didn't mind if I would die anymore. Really, it didn't. It was just like, yeah, just fully let go. But my question is a bit for the body, because it's still here somehow, you know. Um, um, does it, you know, I always feel that there is this tension. I feel this tension in the body, yeah. And now, before going to this ayahuasca ceremony, I think the tension is even more building up, yeah. So the aches in the body are already there, and then in the ceremony is really horrible, yeah. And now it's good. Now it's relaxed again, you know, after it's like released.
Yeah.
My question is there always this tension, or is the tension, I also feel it now again, but is it maybe still because of fear, that there's always this kind of survival fear inbuilt? Is this working together with the tension in the body? I didn't know, because sometimes I feel like shouldn't I be really fully relaxed, even if the body is in activity?
Yeah. And then when you're fully relaxed, you're going to need to be more fully relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just going to keep going on and on, probably.
Yeah. But
Maybe ask the power that you met in there if you need to do any more. Yeah.
what, ayahuasca
What is it? Yeah, ask the ayahuasca, do I need to do any more of the ayahuasca?
Well, I know normally not. It's like here, you know, you get the message. It's like you fully remembered again. Okay, this is it. This is all basically an illusion. Yeah, it's completely clear. And now it's also still clear. But yeah, you're still coming back to the body. And I think there's always still a kind of dissonance, you know.
Maybe that's the way it goes here, is you
Yeah,
come back to the body. It's not because you're a unique person that
yeah,
has a bad
yeah.
habit of coming back to the body. Maybe that's how it goes. I would ask whatever you meet in there, uh, what to do. Yeah. I don't think ceremonies become habits.
Hmm.
Ceremony usually means it's a special thing. I mean, I wish I had that word ceremony when I was out there using. When I was pulled over by the cops, I could have said, I'm on a ceremony, officer." But I would think maybe you got all the message you were meant to get, and there's a resistance to it, thinking there's more. You got the message that you're not going to get out of the body as the body. Yeah. And maybe all that you are here, in a sense, is the body, in a
Yeah,
certain. And
yeah.
that which wants to really get out of the body is the body. And the spirit that we are doesn't, the spirit's not trying to get out of the body. It's not in the body, in a sense. Yes? It's the body idea. And I think the body idea is the one that keeps pushing for more and more and more. Yes. Based on its ignorance that see, I humbly believe there's a part of the body identity, the head, that believes it can experience its own absence, that it can, but see, it seems to always reignite uh, with the body, doesn't it? I think maybe that's really the point to get across, that whatever reunites with the body is probably of the body. So it's
I
you
mean,
would
I remember also now there was a moment, I think, yeah, when the aching was already there and I was aware of it, but there was still like not being touched by it. Yeah. So there was awareness of the aching of the body, but at the same time I was free. Yeah. So,
yeah.
and I think this is what I'm pointing to finally, that at some stage it is like this here, always
Yeah,
not.
see, but that's the head probably now
I don't know.
desiring a taste of not being the head. It can't have that meal, so it refuses to admit that.
Yeah, but is it not like, I mean, it's more like a seeing, okay, either if it's pleasure or it's pain, I'm beyond it. You know, this is what I sense
You know,
more.
before it, really.
Yeah, or before it. Yeah,
Yeah.
this
Well,
is what I
I
mean.
think
Yeah.
that's what maybe you've ended the semester. You've learned what you needed to learn. Why go over the lesson again and again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like the body can't get out of the body, no matter how many ceremonies it does. Interesting. I think that's a nice bit of knowledge.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
you know, maybe if you lose interest you lose interest in the body that wants to get out of the body, you'll be able to take an Epsom's bath and not ache so much. Yeah. I don't know. I remember when I was young, I'd do anything to try to get out of the body. I would. If I knew ayahuasca, I would have done it probably. And I really, I was, uh, I was an astronaut. I would do anything. And it was always a drag when I reappeared. I just wasn't getting the message, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe here you're supposed to be in the body, and because you're going to be out of it completely, very sooner or later. Yes, there's going to be a complete extinguishing of any connection with a body. The body's going to be laying there doing nothing. So why the hurry? Why the rush? Inevitably, it's going to be so. Yeah, maybe it's not meant to be so now. Yeah, yeah. After, you yell at something 40 times to go away, it finally becomes your pet. You realize the cat ain't going. The cat has decided you're going to be its owner. Yeah. So you're like, I want out, out, out. Hey, all right, fuck it. Let's live with the cat. What I would hope the ayahuasca would help with was to see there wasn't anyone who took the ayahuasca. Yeah. And maybe when the body is brought back, that is also brought back, and you'll travel lighter through the body experience. Yes. When I met people who did ayahuasca years and years ago, uh, they were missing that. They would have these incredible events or experiences, but they were the one that was talking about them. They didn't see the reappearance of the self, the bondage of self. So it proved very helpful to them to hear this message. This was years and years ago in Canada. So I pass it on to you. Yes. Yeah. Because the storyline, though interrupted, will just continue. Yeah. It'll be you that did the ayahuasca. It's the you that's got freed through the ayahuasca. It's always the you is going to jump on, no matter how interrupted it is. When it starts again, it's on. It recouples. Yeah. It's mechanical. It's good to know. Yeah. Yeah. So Nice. Thank you, Ms. Volkman. Yes, and ayahuasca or not, you're a lifetime member of Zen Bitch Lab. Achy or not, yes. Thinking that if I can go through the extreme acheness, it's going to bring me to the great liberation. Even that, yes. Yeah. You're a lifetime member. We appreciate you, Ms. Volkman. Thank you. Let's say someone else will have one more, but then I have to dig a ditch today.
Yes, question from Haley.
Water pipe went off. Yesterday, we've got to change the water pipe. All right, I think we have Haley. Haley R. from Dallas. Come on in, Haley. Did you see her or she just disappeared?
Think that might have been nothing.
Really? Oh, wow. That's strange. It looked like a something. Okay, well, let me say goodbye to everyone. Melody. Nice to see Melody. She's in Mexico now? Wow. All right. Your subscription, your membership is international. Zen Bitch Slap membership. Yeah. We have no borders, no boundaries. Roxanne, always a pleasure. Yes. Tom Lazade, Tacoma. Matthew, UK. We're all sober. Tom, Matthew, me. It's very cool. John B in the UK. Nice to see you, John. Rico Cruz, a man of his word. Walter, the brother from another mother. Miak, Michael Stacy, Eileen. No matter where she is, she's from New York. Remember, Jessel. Jess, did Kathleen get in touch with you? Yes or no? Does Kathleen have your number? Oh, good, good.
Talk. Yeah. I got in touch with her. She's here, but I think she might have a lot of family stuff going on, so we'll play it by ear. Yeah.
Yeah, she does. All right, honey. Nice to hear you.
Thanks. Yeah, you
Yeah.
too.
Rick Rowe, our man in Toronto. Tomas, my friend from Poland. Nice to see you, Tomas. Miss Volkman. Tomas, I have no idea what our plans are, but Amelia's working pretty regularly, so she's